When examining the idea of the maps we carry, my thoughts were immediately drawn to the city I live in, possibly one of the most famous cities in the world, to the point where if you put a map of it in front of a person who'd never set foot here, they'd know what they were looking at. There aren't many places that have this level of significance, but I think I can say that Washington, D.C. is one of them. Living in a city as renowned as DC has given me a chance to immerse myself in the world outside of Instagram Reels and marketing. I quickly acclimated and became fascinated with not only how a city operates, but how it's portrayed to the wider world, including how it was portrayed to me before I moved here.
This is insane.
It's very quickly that you come to realize that the Washington that the rest of the world perceives is very different from the one that the day-to-day person lives in. And this led me down a rabbit hole examining the phenomenon known as cartographic propaganda. If you live in the United States, propaganda is nothing new to you. It seems like we're constantly being bombarded with it in different forms of media, attempting to influence our perception of nearly every conceivable thing, from our economy to our culture to our government. If it can be spun with a different angle, it probably already has. Still, you hold on to some absolutes, some instances where you think the truth is a requirement and not just a suggestion. And I think our maps and general navigation would be one of them. That's why cartographic propaganda is so interesting to me. Because how the hell do you make propaganda out of maps? Cartographic propaganda is a map created with the goal of achieving a result similar to traditional propaganda. The map can exaggerate, misrepresent, or outright falsify reality, utilizing subjectivity with the point of persuasion. It's oddly brilliant. By taking something that we assume is a point-by-point reflection of reality, it never even occurs of us to think that it may have been tampered with. It's more common than you'd think, with most of the maps in our day-to-day life, be they paper or GPS, having been based less on accuracy and more so on the agendas of whoever's drawing the lines. Take this image, for example. I'm going to take a guess and say that it looks familiar. This is the Mercator projection, one of the most common depictions of a world map. Yet it's barely an accurate reflection of the world on which we live. The map tends to overinflate the areas of North America and Eurasia, while underrepresenting the size of much of South America and Africa. The map was initially created over 400 years ago, during a time of colonial expansion, and these subtle misinterpretations from long before the U.S. existed still managed to reverberate all the way through to the present day. These misrepresentations of the world have real consequences, as they distort how people perceive the Earth, and more so their own place and importance within it. If you put a Mercator projection map next to an accurate representation of the globe, you'd be startled initially, questioning if they were depicting the same thing. All this to say is that now that I know what it is, I can say that Washington has some of the best cartographic propaganda I've ever seen. For those who may be unaware, Washington, D.C. is in the midst of a massive restoration project to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country. From parks to roadways to the National Mall itself, millions of dollars are being poured into giving the city a makeover. The Washington, D.C. that we're advertising to the world, though, seems radically different to the one I walk through on a day-to-day basis. To experiment with this idea, I decided to test one of DC's most popular tourism maps from the National Park Service, visiting the sites on the National Mall and beyond, and contrasting it with the reality of the capital as it stands. The maps and marketing will happily showcase all of DC's popular monuments, the Capitol Hill, Reflecting Pool, Lincoln Memorial, etc. What it tends to leave out from those photo ops, however, are the issues of trash cans overflowing, left untouched by underfunded city maintenance, animals scavenging on scraps from people littering, and so many of DC's natives disenfranchised and left without a place to rest their heads. Disparity in the city is real, and it's ugly, and it's something you conveniently won't find online in the tourism mad.
Dude, look at that.
Another thing you won't find?
No way.
The rats. Lots and lots and lots of rats.
Look at him. Oh my God.
Another thing DC fails to portray is the regular upheaval and discontent from its residents. Protests are a regular thing here, for too many reasons to list. And it feels like a gross misrepresentation of DC to show the world the White House, without showcasing the constant litany of people picketing outside the fence. The maps I followed through the city only highlighted the good, the the pretty, the Instagrammable, but it was hesitant to showcase some of the grittier reality of the District of Columbia. However, I do not want the takeaway here to be that DC is a lost cause that's been misrepresented to the world. It's truly a beautiful city, with natural beauty from all across the globe able to be visited, historic museums that strive for accuracy in education, fantastic public transportation that beats anything I've ever seen, and an invigorated and impassioned populace that truly care about making an effort for the city without representation. When I think about the maps we carry going forward in life, I'll think about my time here, and how sometimes your mind and memories can draw a more accurate and caring map of a place than propaganda ever could.